for adults, we may not take the action, right? Well, I don't want to go to bed earlier. I don't want to. But if it's your baby and it's your baby's sleep
Yeah.
and your emotional health as a parent, these are very simple things that we can help inform parents to do that really do make their parenting experience better.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to Marketing Matters on the Wharton Podcast Network. This is our weekly podcast where we analyze the latest in advertising, marketing, customer behavior, new product launches, retailing, branding, everything marketing. I'm Barbara Kahn, the Patty and J.H. Baker Professor of Marketing, and I'm joined by my co-host, Americus Reed, the Whitney M. Young Jr. Professor of Marketing and the Brand Identity Theorist. And today we are very happy to be joined by Krista Weaver, who is the head of marketing at Owlet Baby Care. And she's here to discuss this new category of baby tech. She'll share how Owlet approaches marketing in this highly emotional and health sensitive space where they balance reassurance, education, and innovation for modern parents. Owlet Baby Care is a health and wellness technology company, and you may know them for its Smart Sock device. This is an FDA-cleared wearable baby monitor that wraps around your infant's foot and tracks this infant's heart rate, oxygen levels, and sleep patterns, and streams these live readings to their parent's phone and also to a bedside base station. And it'll generate immediate alerts if your baby falls outside any of these zones. So that is a brave new world. And Krista, we are very happy to have you here to help us navigate this new space.
Thank you, Barbara. So excited to be here with you both.
And I have to say, I don't know about this Owlet, but I know about this baby tech. I am a new grandmother. My grandson, who I spent Memorial Day weekend with, he's 11 months old. He's almost a year. And modern parents and the way I raised my kid, nowhere near the same universe. So you want to tell us a little bit about your perception of how this category goes and whether these new parents are overwired or it's appropriate?
Yeah, I think things are definitely very different. I think about the things my grandparents said even when I was bringing my babies home from the hospital, which was, we didn't even have car seats when I was raising kids. So, things have definitely evolved. And, at Owlet, we really are doing this because we believe that babies should be as safe and healthy as they can be, and that informed parents are more confident. We talk about parents that they all have wearables. I think 40 to 50% of U.S. households, the parents are using wearables, and babies don't have a voice. They can't tell you how they're doing or how they're feeling. So we really are the voice of the baby, really informing parents on what's going on and giving them that confidence to be better, hopefully less stressed, anxious, and less sleep deprived.
And can I just jump? I'm sorry, Barbara. Can I just jump in on this?
Jump right in.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm going to tell you a story. I remember when I have a daughter. She'll be 16 this year. But when she was born, Krista, I remember this moment where you're sort of waiting for the baby's breathing to regulate. And there would be moments in between the breaths that could last as long as 20 seconds. And I remember looking in that crib and watching and panicking. And like literally, Barbara, the fear, the emotion, I was just so nervous and scared. So I appreciate the idea that, you know what, the word Barbara used was assurance. I love that word. Unpack that, because it seems like this is a phenomenon of all, certainly new parents, but, helping them through that journey, but also using the tech as a way to invite people in so that they're not afraid to be a part of, okay, more tech, but they're also thinking a little bit about, okay, this is really going to add value to what I'm doing.
And by the way, just to echo on what you're saying about the newborns, like what we were really scared of, even mine, and we didn't know anything, was about SIDS. And that I think is the fear that just generated, terror in every parent's mind. You might wake up in the middle of the night and your baby's dead. I mean, we're not talking about
it's a serious concern.
Yeah.
I mean, that is what is so unique about Owlet is we are parents that have been there, right? Like even though very likely your baby's going to be okay, we've all felt that panic and wishing there was someone or something that could just tell you your baby's okay. You can rest now. And if it's not, we will wake you up and tell you. And that is really what we're offering. It's this confidence and peace of mind of, you don't have to be afraid anymore. We're here. We're gonna wake you up. We can help you. And we're doing this in a way that's not alarming, not scary. The app interface is really built for parents to enjoy using. You're getting a lot of information about your baby and their sleep cycles and when you should put them down for naps. So there's a lot of very just parent first design and experience that is really also just helps to eliminate that fear that most parents are feeling, that we all know that feeling.
So I have a few questions about what you just said. I mean, just from a tech point of view or a science point of view. First of all, there's a false positives, false negatives thing, but we could talk about that later. But let's talk about what you were saying in the software and things like that. So you track heart rate, oxygen levels, sleep patterns. Let's take sleep patterns. Like, what do you track and how much information can I possibly parse? I thought that was pretty interesting that you said the software is designed to, that's probably a huge issue, how you design the software and how you communicate all this data.
Yes. So our Dream Sock is our hero product. So that's what you were talking about earlier that wraps around baby's foot. It is FDA cleared technology. So we are the only FDA cleared monitor on the market. So we do have that clinical rigor, but that pairs with our Dream Sight, which is our camera. So that's what parents, when you typically think of buying a baby monitor, we also do have that. That's called Dream Sight. So when you combine those two together within our app, you're seeing your baby, you're getting the live readings of the pulse rate and the oxygen level, but you're also getting information on, deep sleep, what kind of sleep they're in, when they should go. We have predictive sleep. So that's telling you, based on your baby's sleep, here's when you should put the baby down next for nap. And we also do have an added layer to this, which is Owlet 360. And that is a subscription service that gives you even more insights. And we're consistently rolling out just new features all the time. Every quarter, there's a new feature rolling out for parents through that. That's getting even deeper and even more of the actions you can take based on this insight. So that's really where our team is focused right now.
Super but give me an example of that. Americus and I are both wired up. So, you're preaching to the choir here.
We're wired and wired up.
Exactly. We're everything. But and I'm looking at all this data about me, my REM sleep, and I get all these alerts, and apparently my resilience just went down, and I'm...
Oh, no. Rough weekend.
And I don't know what to do about all this information with myself. So now you're telling me there's all this information about the baby. It's not at all clear to me that wouldn't make me crazy. So
I hear you. And, actually, I would say a lot of times we do hear from parents that have not yet purchased our product. That might make me more anxious, more information. And, there are times that I personally have to take off my watch or my Oura ring because I'm not having a good time and I can't look at it. But I think what's great about this, actually, we do find, and parents have reported, using our devices do make them less anxious. They have reported feeling less anxiety. And I think that is because of the way that we're surfacing the information. And it's things you can do. You put your baby down to sleep a little earlier, have a different sleep environment. It might be too warm in here. So it's things you'll take action on, and I think for adults, we may not take the action, right? Well, I don't want to go to bed earlier. I don't want to. But if it's your baby and it's your baby's sleep and your emotional health as a parent, these are very simple things that we can help inform parents to do that really do make their parenting experience better. I mean, I can't tell you the stories from parents we get about the impact this product has on their life. I mean, I did not expect that when I came to Owlet, combing through these stories of parents where I can finally rest, I can finally sleep, from really those stories to just truly life-changing moments that we were there for their baby and their family.
I'm just curious. I mean, you said it's FDA cleared, which is a big deal. I worked for a center on getting that kind of stuff that really matters. And you're coming up with software decisions. Like you have to decide. I wonder, like you have scientists, you run experiments. You have to decide what alerts to give people, what not to give them. You know, like you said, some of this is low probability events. You get them all riled up over this. Maybe that's not good. So you're making a lot of trade-offs in introducing this interface that's presumably creating the emotional resilience that you're describing. How do you make those decisions?
Yeah, and let me build on Barbara's question because there's some, I mean, as I was thinking about this, Barbara, as you were saying what you just said, I was thinking about, you know, how does Krista and her colleagues think about risk? So the idea that, you know, this is catastrophic sort of stuff that we're talking about here. And so, you know, how do, you know, is it, hey, this is not medical advice per se, but, you know, how do you walk that legal kind of, you know, fine line?
Yeah, that's true. There's legal issues on both sides. Either you tell them something that's not true or you don't tell them you should have told them. But that was what I was referring to as false positive, false negative. For sure. So you got all those liability issues potentially.
Yeah. And how do you think through that? Yeah.
What I was even more concerned about the emotional piece. Like, what do you decide is something a parent should know about or not? You got to make a lot of judgment calls, I would guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. That's something we think about every day. So, I mean, the FDA clearance part, we are so confident in the clinical rigor and what this product has gone through from a testing. You would, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't be shocked, but it's a process and it's ongoing. We have an amazing legal and regulatory team and clinical team. Very, very smart people outside of the marketing team that do a lot of this stuff to help make sure we're doing things appropriately, correctly. No room for error here, right? Like this is very important stuff. But we also, on the flip side, are listening to parents every day. So we have within our company, we have what's called the parent org, and marketing sits there as well as customer service.
Oh, that's cool.
And we have teams that are listening to parent feedback in the app, on social media, across, and we do what we call the voice of the parent meeting. And that is where we get so much information on what's working for them, what's not, what is alarming them where they don't want it to. We've heard that maybe some of our alarms that are more to tell you that the sock isn't placed right might sound a little too scary. So it's like, what should that noise be then?
That's interesting.
That makes you not afraid.
So,
it's cool though, because to Barbara's point, it's like product development, product innovation in real time as a function of the social listening that's happening in the ecosystem, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I really like that idea because I was thinking you're like a pioneer in this space. So in some sense, how are you going to run these experiments? You don't even know what you're testing, but what you do know is what your parents want to hear and what's been useful and how they want to hear it. And that's cool that you're doing that listening. And that's, I think, you know, even beyond the legal and science issues, getting right to the parents is really the right way to do it.
And they'll tell you. I mean, they are a very discerning audience. If it's not working, we know. I think what's also great, we have our hardware product that they've purchased, but through our software, we can test new features and give them, maybe they haven't asked for something, but we want to delight them with something. Let's see if that works. And we know what they're engaging with and what they want more of from us.
Interesting. I think it's also interesting, Barbara, get your reaction to this as well, because I was thinking about something Barbara had said when I was doing the parenting thing, the first child, and it was like all word of mouth. So you try to pick who's the parent that I want to ask and like give me all the best practices, right? And you try. But I love this idea because now we're talking about a co-located group in an ecosystem. So there's more of them.
It's a community.
There's a community and there's an opportunity to like create thought leadership in that community and also harness sort of the advocates in this community.
And connection, you know, and somebody else do you try to that's a great idea.
So yeah, we do. And there is so much more, don't steal our ideas, or maybe you gave us one, but there is.
And I are going to go into baby mode.
You're hired, but yes, there is so much more we can do to foster that. What's interesting, we see that too. Someone will post a video on TikTok or Instagram about us, and the comments, I mean, I could spend all day just reading the love and the stories and helping each other, but really it just kind of swirls from there. Mm-hmm. They trust each other more than they trust us, which is great. They should. Word of mouth is definitely our biggest when we do surveys, how did you hear about us? Another
Yeah.
parent.
Yeah.
It's always word of mouth.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
but what you're creating is a branded community. It's an outlet
Yeah.
community. If you do, and to America's point, no, he likes this point. If you create a brand identity on this outlet, really seriously, you're not
Yes.
only creating the connection to technology, but you're creating a tribe, right? You're creating a
Tribe.
community.
Yes.
And you're providing, and I think the idea that it's a branded community is, it's good for you, obviously, because it builds loyalty to you, but it's also good for the community because it gets people of like minds getting together. And there's as much value in, just as Americus was saying, talking to each other,
Yeah. Yeah,
as talking
love
to
that.
you.
And it's to build on Barbara's point. She's making the identity point so beautifully here. I want to get out of her way, but
Nailed it.
but I love that because to Barbara's point, what's then infused in all of this is like parent identity is like one of the most important identities you'll ever have in your life. So like to Barbara's point, building that kinetic energy in this community and connection is like gotta be incredible. Is that what you're
That's
saying?
maybe even more important than the technology in some sense.
I mean, the parents for us, the parents are the heroes, right? Of this story. We're just helping support, facilitate, guide. We can give them access to the experts. We've got nurses on staff to help. Anytime a parent has an issue and a question, we're like, oh, we see you in social media. We connect you with the right nurse on staff to explain and help you.
That's
wow.
interesting.
We've got
That's
the
cool.
right team, but
God.
we always want to let the parents lead and tell us what they need.
And, Americus, we're also, I know, because I'm seeing my children do this, they're ChatGPT parents. And now, if you've got the technology and you got the community to augment that,
Yeah.
keep you sane and make sure you're not doing things that are in your head. You have the data to support it. So like, for
Yes.
example, it was Memorial Day weekend and we went on a long trip, my son, my grandson and me, and we got stuck in traffic for several hours. And I didn't even think to ask this, but he had me, because he was driving, he had me ChatGPT. My baby's been in the car seat for 2.5 hours. We were going to stop, but we hit traffic. Should I pull over and take him out of the car seat?
Oh, interesting.
That would never even occur to me.
Yeah, right.
We're
Right.
in traffic, suck it up, kid. I know what's going on. But he was worried, and ChatGPT told him, babies should not be in a car seat for more than 2 hours. So if you can pull over, pull over.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Well,
so
good
like
to know.
he's knowing to ask questions. He thinks about things because he's in this world. He has these baby monitors everywhere. He's monitoring all this stuff, and he just really wants to do right by his kid.
Yep.
So it's getting people to ask questions they didn't even ask before, and
That's
maybe
really
we were
interesting.
lucky. I'm not saying this is going to make a difference this is Americus's point on risk. These are low probability, but high consequent events. And we're not used to even asking the questions about it. But these parents nowadays are much smarter.
Yeah, there's a lot more information out there. And I think our job to them is give them the tools that do exist and do it in a very responsible way. We don't want parents to feel more anxious. We don't want them to have so much information they can't function. So what's the right balance of you have the information, you can feel confident, but you're not more anxious, more exhausted. It's the opposite effect.
Yeah.
We're all looking things up with AI, and
Interesting.
we got a lot of information we could tap into.
Yeah. And to build on that question, I'd love to hear your point of view, Krista, on how you are using AI in this context. When Barbara said that, the very first thing I said, we just got to pray that ChatGPT is not hallucinating all this stuff. So like, how are you corralling the artificial intelligence value add specifically inside the tech? If you can share that with us, a little bit of the secret sauce, maybe.
Yeah, that's a great question and something we actually talk about all the time. So a couple points on that. So, well, first of all, AI will not be able to replace actual data on your baby's foot, right? The pulse.
No, right. That's why you want to augment it. The more you believe in AI, the more you're going to believe in this tech and data.
Yeah,
Right.
so that must remain. There obviously will be some great use cases for helping to analyze some of that data and share with parents what's happening, just from a purely informational standpoint. And from a marketing standpoint, though, of course, we can use AI to make our jobs easier, but we are really committed to never, we've seen some brands maybe use AI babies and AI parents in their market. We are very committed to
Yeah, don't do
That's
that.
featuring real babies, real stories.
I vote for real babies.
Yeah,
Me too.
we're a human brand. We are made
that's
for
funny.
humans. We are, yes, we will always feature real babies, real people, and we will never veer off of our strict clinical background in favor of AI, right? Like we have to remain true to that clinical and FDA clearance and all the things that we have worked so
So,
hard.
I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, this could be just an incredibly brilliant business model. Like what you're talking about right now, obviously is a good model. I'm sure you're going to bring out other tech. You already talked about the subscription, talked about the community, all of that other stuff. So that's like a big runway for growth. And we didn't talk about it, but I can imagine you're doing, it's great. That's a good market. But now I'm thinking, if you do a really good job of building this brand outlet and really create this brand community, you're doing like what Apple did. Because like what Apple did was give the computers to the kids in the schools. And you get them wedded and loyal to that operating system, that software, that community, that brand. And guess what? They're Apple consumers, not just for baby monitors, but when they graduate to their watches and their Whoops and their Aura rings, they're going to want Owlet because
That's
they
really
learned to
interesting.
trust it.
That's really
So
interesting.
you're talking about a full life. That's what I would guess. Is that you're shaking your head?
Well, I will say
Now that's a customer lifetime value. It's from
Yeah.
0 to 100.
Exactly. You get them when they're born, and you take them to death.
you got it. Well, and the most requested product request we have is for larger sock sizes. So I'm not going to give anything away, but
Yeah.
Of course, you're taking it. You're gonna, and you do good branding. You got
That's
real
incredible.
brand community. You got real colors. You got real design. We can help you in all this, but I mean, all of that kind of stuff, and you create such a bond with that brand for the person. And that's what Apple did. I mean, it really is what Apple did. The genius of Apple was to take those computers into the schools, while IBM and Dell and stuff was taking it into business. And you're bringing
that's
that
so
loyalty.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
That's interesting.
different. And I can, this is like, especially if you're a pioneer here, you've got what you said, the clearance that other people have. You've got real innovation and R&D advantages. The parallel to Apple is not crazy.
Yeah, that's huge. It's interesting because just to build on that point, like my daughter, her first 3 words were mama, papa, and iPad.
Oh,
So, there you have it. So Barbara's point is a very serious point, because that once you sort of like, once you're in that space young, it's like you're growing up with it. That's a completely different relationship.
And like what is the software is so key because you're creating it from a parent point of view. So they trust. And a lot of that decision isn't like just, the data that comes in. It's how you interpret it, how you value it, what alerts you give, what alerts you don't give. If I learn to trust you over time, I'm not going to want to move to a different
and if you're going to trust us with your infant, I mean, that's a critical time period. So
I want to actually ask a question that's directly related to the logic that Barbara's bringing up, Krista, and that is, what are the strategies as the child is aging out of the ecosystem? What are the strategies to like keep the parents and that family unit? This is Barbara's point. Still kind of in the ecosystem, in the community, living, breathing outlets, still experiencing something that they can pass on. How do you make sure that you don't lose that momentum?
That is exactly the conversation we are having every single day, is getting people to use that product longer and really see the value. So we have to keep iterating on that. It can't just be something they're using from 0 to 6 months and then they're not anxious anymore, so they're done. And that is where our Dream Sight camera comes in, right? A lot of people are using that beyond, into toddlerhood. And then also our subscription, where we're continuing to update and add new features that will hopefully grow with the baby. So there's a
You know,
lot of
that's the brilliance here behind Aura and that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Is like
software features,
we're
right?
making revenue $9 a month. I don't know what yours is, or I think is $9 a month, whatever it is. Obviously, that's revenue. I'm not poo-pooing that, but it is also creating that connection and that delight where there's like, you know, I think I told you before the show started, I got like a warning for my Aura ring that I'm a little too stressed out and my resilience was down, and like, and then after a while, you really get addicted to that communication. So what you're doing is so critical for the business model.
Yeah, and let me also throw something on top of this, Krista. So a little the other side of this. There's some research that suggests that there are negative effects of measuring lots and lots and lots of stuff. So I'm wondering, like, what's your point of view on this sort of counter over optimization culture, like people pushing back against, hey, I don't want to measure everything. This is just getting too much. I can't like enjoy life because I'm getting a dashboard of just about every single thing that, I mean, how do you think about this, Barbara's point early on, like walking that kind of fine line between sort of fear, risk, and happiness?
Yeah. I mean, it's valid. It's a valid concern. It's definitely something we have to talk about. I mean, I'm not wearing my Aura ring today because of that. And I love Aura. I love my Aura ring, but there are times I take it off. It's too much information. But I think kind of, we discussed a little bit earlier that it's all in how you're delivering the information and if it's useful, and it's not done from oh, this is really scary, you should pay attention. It's done from hey, maybe put the baby down 10 minutes earlier, or maybe you don't have to, it's not forced on you, but it's a really beautiful parent first experience that is really just, here are the tools we have for you. Here's what we can teach you about your baby. Whether it's something critical or something very much, just nice to know, maybe changes your sleep a little bit. And one of the things our team talks about a lot, and we talk to parents every day, we go to consumer shows and we do all these things. And, what we hear from parents when we're getting deep into this conversation about our product and the brand and things, and we talk about this concept of, I'd rather have, even if I feel like I have too much information, sometimes I would really rather have the information I need to make sure my baby is as healthy and safe as can be. But we do have a responsibility to do that in a way that feels right for parents. And we'll always be listening and iterating on what that experience is.
Interesting.
Krista, we're just about out of time, but I did want to talk. So tired. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about you just for a second. I know that you used to be at Kohl's, and you are
nice.
which is cool. I mean, here at Wharton, we have the Jay Baker Retailing Center, and Jay Baker was the president of Kohl's. So we have a little bit of a personal relationship here with Kohl's.
Amazing.
But I noticed that your job was like social marketing and influencer marketing, and just really quickly, because we are out of time, but how are you using that social marketing? I mean, I assume part of the reason you were hired into this role is because that was a big piece of it. So I'm wondering how you're doing that social marketing piece. Yeah.
I mean, my career was really built in social media and really built a ton of that at Kohl's. And as time has gone on, really a lot of brand marketing has become based on social and community. And that's such a huge part of just understanding your audience with that two-way communication. And it's really a perfect fit for Owlet because, at Kohl's, we were doing so many fun things and listening to parents and having fun with Kohl's Cash and doing all that great stuff. Yes. But this is really a different level where you really can take all the stuff you're learning from parents and what they're saying and make it not just a marketing program, but a true product and brand experience for customers. So it's been, and I mean, Kohl's was amazing. And I love Owlet so much because you are making such a big difference in people's lives. And that's why I wake up every day.
Nice. That's awesome.
Oh, we cry in every Owlet company meeting because we raise from parents. So this is the first job I've had where it's okay to cry at work every day if you want.
Every day, every meeting.
It was perfect for my emotional side.
We're cutting onions in every meeting.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love babies. I love my little baby. But Krista Weaver, head of marketing at Owlet Baby Care, thank you so much for joining us. And where can our listeners go to find out about Owlet, about your product, your community? stuff.
Well, follow us. We're Owlet Care on TikTok, Instagram, at owletcare.com. And we are at pretty much every major retailer. So you can find us on Amazon, Babylist, Target, Walmart, Best Buy. You'll find us. And in many countries.
4 Ps. We could add a whole other hour on your distribution and pricing strategies. Wow.
Love that.
Yeah,
This is
find
true.
us everywhere.
Well, thanks again. Thank you so much for joining us. And that is it for today. We'd like to thank our producer, Jacob Grodnick, and we'll be back next week. Till then, this has been Marketing Matters on the Wharton Podcast Network. I'm Barbara Kahn here with Americus Read.